Welcome, everybody, to podcast number 287. Are you building your project management team as your first priority? Stay with us.
This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome, everybody. I hope you're having a good day. It is 4:35 here in Phoenix. I got in late last night from a flight from St. Louis, and I'm about to head into a meeting to facilitate a project creating their own Takt plan. So I don't have as much time. So I'm going to riff right through this podcast topic today about building high-performance project teams. Now, this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart because I very much believe in it. And it's a part of the integrated production control system because we have to really figure out we have to figure out how the team is going to work together. We have to build that team before really a whole lot else can be done successfully on the project site. So I'm just going to get right into the podcast topic today. I hope you're doing well. So let me say that I think there's five steps ahead of that. Let me go through those really quickly. So yes, intentional pre-construction efforts, and then lean and contracts, implementing the last planner system behaviors, prefabrication, and then it's the team and winning over the workforce, and then it's build high-performance project teams. So one thing that I'm really excited about, last night I was going through all my notes that I keep on my iPhone notes, and I've got like probably 35 really, really cool podcast topics. So once I'm done with this, and I think, so I'm going to attempt to jam through these. I might even do a couple of these over the weekend. I'm really excited about the future podcast topics. I've got some interviews that are scheduled and coming up. I'm really excited. So let's get right into it. I'm going to skip some of the scaffolding so that this morning I can meet my commitment, have this podcast. I'm actually going to do get my passport today at 10 so that I can go to Germany and then to Norway. And I'm going to expand the Takt knowledge that we have at Elevate, and then also share some of that stuff with our European sisters and brothers. So I'm pretty excited. So here, let's get right into it. Building high-performance project teams. The project management team must have the time to improve, to implement lean systems. This comes from training on personal organization and implementing team balance and health through training and coverage systems. A team should reach out for help if needed. There must be stability and capacity within the team to be successful with anything else. The required steps are, and let's go through these. First, implement a personal organization system. And so that means all team members, and this is probably the single most important thing or process for team members in order to create capacity. And I'll talk about that briefly right now. There's something that I call either team or organizational debt. So if you go to a project, and let's say you go to a project and there are certain circumstances surrounding that project. The circumstances of the project have what I would call, energy debt points, or energy expenses, right? And you, as a person or as a team, you have like energy credits. So the expenses versus credits, if you reconcile those together, you're either going to be in the positive or you're going to be in the negative. Some projects, by virtue of circumstance, will have more energy expenses, or it takes more energy to run that project than the project team actually has. And I really like the analogy. I don't like that it happens to people, but I like the analogy. So sometimes you'll get around a person and they're really good intention, they're great leaders, they're super sharp, And they're like, I just don't know why we're not winning. Why are we not ahead of all of these things? Well, a lot of times the answer is the energy expenses, meaning the amount of energy that it takes to run that job, is greater than the capacity of the team. I'll give you some examples, okay? So if you have failing trade partners on site, that's going to increase your energy expenses, okay? If you have to drive like an hour and a half, 2 hours one way to get to the project, and people have to do that for long periods of time, that's going to increase your energy expenses, right? If you have a difficult designer, I'm not making fun of you designers out there, but if you have a difficult designer, that's going to increase those expenses. And so in some projects, it's like, okay, we have a difficult site, we have a dysfunctional team, we have a long drive both ways, it's been a long project, the owner is somewhat abusive, the designers aren't participating in a collaborative way, I don't have a logistics foreman, and there's just all of these different things that create this energy expense total. And let's say you have 5 people on the team, 5, 6, 7 people, whatever. When you take their energy, and it's not that they're doing a bad job, it's just they have normal energy credits, right? And you take 6 multiplied by the amount of energy that a normal human being in construction can offer, and you tally that up. And let's just imagine that you could quantify those in point numbers, right? So the energy expense units or point count for the project was like at a 465, but you tally up the energy credits from the project management team and you're at like 370. Well, you have what's called team or project or organizational debt. You're in the red. And we have to really look at that. The way to fix that is to start to reduce the expenses and increase the credits. And we reduce expenses by fixing problems. We fix that, the defaulting trade partner, and maybe even have supplement. We hire the right logistics foreman. We find a way to get there on the project site without the drive every day. Maybe even that means staying home one day. And then the other thing is picking the team's head up and increasing the amount of energy they have through good morale. You're celebrating wins on a weekly basis, having fun, increasing the effectiveness of the office space. We really have to look at that. Everything moves from energy. And I love that Sun Tzu in the book, The Art of War, focused on the energy of the army. We can't win without that. So we have to make sure that's the top priority. So once we understand that general concept, we have to do the following things in order to build the team. Number 1, make sure that we mine as much data about each other's personalities as possible. So I recommend doing personality assessments and player cards, and each person creating a personal clarity document which will allow them to identify their leader standard work, the 20% that will bring you the 80% of return for everything that you do. And that everybody on the project site, even the logistics foreman, everyone, start keeping a to-do list. And that means there's a capture system. That means there's a clarifying system of what is and what is not important. And you're able to execute, and really only execute based off of that list. Then time block, meaning the project management team, each of the individuals, time block their weeks ahead of Monday, putting these things in the following order. Not of importance, but in the order of sequence. So, number 1, spirituality, family, and personal health. 2, leader standard work items, such as what are you as a person needing to be doing in your leadership role on a weekly basis right now, according to what's most important right now. These could be things like, managing the procurement system, taking better care of your family. Right now, as a leader on the project site, putting certain trade partners in task force and making sure that we're helping them out, studying the drawings, being in the schedule every day. What are the things that are critical for you in your standard work as a leader? then project meetings, and then other work. If you start to time block your weeks in that order, you will start to see more success in your effectiveness on site. Okay, then begin a morning routine to start and prioritize your day. That means to-do lists. That means time blocking for that day. That means making sure that your focuses are disciplined. And then last step, you track your hours, most of the time categorizing them from needed to do your job, not needed or waste, continuous improvement, career, and family. And what you want to start doing is getting your needed tasks under 35. You want to start reducing or eliminating the waste. And you want to start to see more time on a daily basis with your continuous improvement and career time. And you want to make sure you're having all the time that you need above 55 hours or 50 hours or 48 hours for family. So that is the first step to this. Everyone on site, including your logistics foreman, having a personal organization system and really making that work. I remember when I did the interview with Paul Akers, he said, yeah, if somebody's going to work with me, I pretty much demand they use David Allen's system of getting things done. You have to do it, because if you don't have capacity as a person, you'll never be able to get capacity as a team, and then you'll never be able to improve. So let's now talk about beginning the team balance and health effort, which will create capacity for you as a team. Okay, so first, refine the project team organization chart by area so that there is clarity on who is doing what and who is covering what. Create functional teams with good communication channels. And that means you might have to scale some huddle systems. So if you have a larger project with other functional areas, you might have to organize huddles by functional area and then have a team lead come into a huddle of huddles that coordinate all of the functional areas together. Create a team meeting structure with, number one, the team weekly tactical, the planning and procurement meeting, the weekly work planning meeting, or what I call the trade partner weekly tactical, the afternoon foreman huddle or daily huddle if you use last planner terminology, the morning worker huddle where you gather all workers together, the crew preparation huddle where crews and foremen prepare their day, and then the team daily check-in or the team daily huddle or the team huddle where that team together works on the removal of roadblocks to keep the field running. And then obviously you have meetings like your OAC meeting, or you might have coordination meetings. But you have to have a solid meeting structure where there is a sense of how to run good meetings. Once you do that, you need to improve the quality of the team weekly tactical. And you can do this by studying the book Death by Meeting. What you do in that meeting is you focus on the purpose of the meeting in a focused manner, and you start with things like PTO systems and intentional coverage so that we can take care of family, health, spirituality, and then leader standard work, and then meetings, and then all of the chaos of the job in that order, by making sure that project team members are covering for each other according to the day plan. And in that team meeting, you'll also make sure that you are doing some team building. Make sure that you're discussing some of the soft skills of coming together as a team, following that Patrick Lencioni method, and then make the quality process most of the focus of your meeting. And so you really need to leave that meeting knowing who's on PTO, who needs coverage, who's covering for the day, what is the plan for that week, and then obviously cover other, normal things like finances, your normal metrics with schedule, your normal metrics with safety. But make sure that you leave that meeting knowing 100% what does it take on that project and what are the next steps to implement remarkable quality, because that will be a leading indicator for all other measurements on site. And that day plan will be the way that team, anybody, the PE, the project manager, the logistics foreman, anybody, if the super or somebody else is gone, that day plan being a visual, active information system, a bit of information on the wall, will allow the project team members to cover for each other with confidence. Once you have these key things in place, I would, and I'm telling you, if you don't do this, you're being silly, because this is gold. I would read the motive, the 5 dysfunctions of a team, death by meeting, the advantage, and the ideal team player, the truth about employee engagement, and silos, politics, and turf wars with the project management team over a period of time, and read, reflect, and implement. If you do that, you will start improving towards the conditions of satisfaction for your project team, meaning what is the goal of this team? What is the clarity of this team, which should have been created in pre-construction? And then I would grade the team health monthly using some of those spider graphs or even just an Excel template. I have templates if you want, and make sure that the team health or the energy credits are increasing and outweighing the energy expenses or the debt, and that you're getting into the positive from an energy standpoint, from a team health and happiness standpoint. And then grade yourself and grade trade contractors on their performance weekly. If you do this, in addition to your personal organization system, you will 100% have increased capacity. There are other systems. There are other things. There are other books that you can read. Inside the trailer, you can have a family wall. You can start to have food in team meetings as a part of your culture. You can go out every week. You can have a masseuse like we did at the research laboratory come every week. You can have open office desks. You can have Nerf gun wars inside the trailer like we did, again, having fun. A foosball table, a little putting green. You can have a culture where you like have really, really fun team meetings where you do fun kind of little cultural things, right? This is just the beginning. My point in going back to this is your team needs to have the capacity not only to have fun, and having fun increases productivity. So if there's some of you thinking people out there that are like, Jason's being fluffy right now, do not underestimate the direct benefit of productivity from a team that's having fun. Not only will you have fun, but you'll have an increased capacity for continuous improvement. And so your team, making sure that you know who's doing what, you know, you have the communication channels like figured out, you have the right meeting systems to create proximity and to create communication, right? Focused in the right way on coverage so that everybody is working intentionally without very much waste, right? Focused on PTO and coverage, and focused on a daily basis on the right things with the right behaviors, which you're going to learn from the table group and Patrick Lencioni, towards a performance goal with a multiplier leader, grading your health monthly and making sure that your trade partners are doing what they need to do as a part of the system. You will see increased success in how your team operates. And so what I'm saying here is the current condition in the industry is people just don't focus on stuff like this, and they don't win, and their teams are dysfunctional, and you have more team or project or organizational expenses than you do have credits, and then you end up in debt, and you have team debt or organizational debt or project debt, and you cannot function with that kind of energy loss without having wins. And so my challenge for you is, let's get that team built. Let's start to build your project management team. Let's provide them a system, and there is one, where they can increase their capacity and have some fun, because it's absolutely crucial. You build your people first. And again, if you're the thinking introverted, I don't like people to kind of type, hey, that's fine. As long as you get some help with it, you have to build people, and those people will build great things. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.